Oh, here goes, and welcome to the 150th episode of Throwback Hoops. Woody V is on the mic, and as always, please follow the show on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And Robbie, man, 150 episodes, what a great achievement, and it's been a pleasure doing it with you all these years, so great day for us.
Great to be here, mate. It is a great achievement. We haven't been cancelled yet, so that's a good sign. But yeah, the time's flown, hasn't it? I think we can look back to those early episodes. Feel like we were nervous before we recorded each time, and it was, it's just become something we've just continued to love and enjoy doing. And congrats on yourself for getting there as well.
Likewise, my brother. And a lot of podcasts don't last the test of time. They'll do 20, 30, 40 episodes and not have that continuity like we've had. So
yeah.
It's testament to us that we've kept this going. So well done.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So I thought let's keep it a bit lighthearted today. I want to talk about a few NBL topics, a few NBA topics. I found a few extra packs that I thought I didn't know I had. So
Nice.
Let's get into it, shall we? What jersey you got for us today on the 150th episode of Throwback Hoops, Robbie Clayton?
Yeah, it's funny. I had a different jersey plan, and I thought, no, I want to honour this guy's jersey, so you'll probably know who I'm honouring when I stand up and you see this one, but I'll just show you the one I'm rocking today.
For sure, Robbie. And for those who can't see, Robbie's wearing the Detroit 23 Jaden Ivey jersey. Awesome, man. Awesome. Unfortunate news about him breaking his leg, or what did he do?
Firstly, sweet jersey, right?
Yeah, awesome jersey.
That bit I pointed to at the end was the Chuck Daly 2 patch that they've got on these City Edition jerseys from last year, which I thought was pretty cool. So Jaden Iveywood. So last year's Nike City Edition Detroit Pistons jersey. So I've been high on this guy. I was really high on him at the start of the season, so I was really disappointed to see that injury news last week. I thought, you know what, I'll wear this jersey on our 150th episode to honour him a bit there. So, look, his third season in the NBA Woods. He was drafted out of Purdue by the Pistons at pick 5 in the 2022 NBA draft. Recommend people go on, look at Wikipedia or the NBA.com and look at that draft. It's a pretty solid draft. There's quite a lot of good players in that one. I think it might end up being a pretty good draft as the years go on there. So, look, he was named to the All-Rookie second team in 2023. He was a little bit up and down those first 2 seasons. A little bit of, it could be the coaching and other issues with that team playing so poor at that time, but absolutely was having his best season to date this season. He pretty much improved in all areas. Was averaging a career high 17.6 points as well. So really solid there. So unfortunately, though, on the 1st of January, he suffered a broken left fibula after colliding with Orlando Magic guard Kuol while attempting to retrieve a loose ball. So he was having a great game in that game as well. The next day it was announced that he would miss the remainder of the season after undergoing surgery. So tough break there. It didn't look good. You can always tell by players' reactions and everything else like that. It's pretty horrendous sort of injury seeing someone break a leg, obviously. So, what's your thoughts been on Mr. Ivey's game so far this season and his career?
As you said, this year he was showing a lot of promise before that injury, and the communication and backcourt pairing with Cade Cunningham was starting to become a very successful one. And this Detroit team's not the laughing stock of the league anymore, right? They're well coached. They've got some veterans on that ball club.
They've beaten last season's win title already, and we're in, just in the start of January. So, yeah.
So I think, as you said, having that front office, that coaching staff, and an organization that would be conducive for him to, be nurtured and grow as a player has been really good for him this year. Whereas in the last couple of years, he didn't have that. So we're seeing that. So he's young. Sure, it's an unfortunate incident for him to get injured, but he'll be back stronger next year. Yeah.
No, well said. Hopefully he comes back well. And really formidable backcourt there with Cade Cunningham. You can see those guys, if they sort of hold on to those two, they could really be the future of that.
The passport legend, Jalen Duren,
Yeah, that's right. So, loving this jersey as well. I don't think there's a lot of Jaden Ivey jerseys going around, Woods. This is how we like to do it on this show, right? We like the random ones.
There'd be a few in Detroit after this year, though, I would say.
Sure there would be. I just don't think there'd be many in Sydney, Australia.
No, I wouldn't say that.
A nice jersey, though, isn't it? So good
Absolutely.
Colours, like that. So nice. I can see you rocking one of those Sydney Kings jerseys, which I'm not a big fan of, but why don't you show us?
I just thought 150th.
I like your hat, not sure about the jersey, though.
150th episode, new year, I've got to represent my 2 teams, right? So this guy just came back from injury. So I just thought I'd wear his jersey. So let me just stand up.
So Woods is stand up, rocking the white Sydney Kings number 0 Bull Kuol jersey. It's a nice jersey. Been a little bit up and down, hasn't he? But I guess the injuries have been pretty.
I
pretty
want to
bad
ask
for
you
him.
about that, right? But just quickly about Bull Kuol. He's a South Sudanese Australian basketball player for the Sydney Kings. Born in Sudan, he moved to Australia when he was just 9 years old and grew up in Canberra. He played college basketball in the United States for 5 years, 4 at California Baptist and 1 at Detroit Mercy. He initially joined the Cairns Taipans in 2021 and played 3 seasons for the club. And he's also had a short stint playing over in France. So he was on the NBL. He was the NBL Rookie of the Year in 2022. After having those first few,
I thought Sam Froling was the only one that could win that award.
I think was Bull Coles still Rookie of the Year when he won it? And before
I
that,
never know that
who
award
knows?
anymore, you know.
But he actually went and represented South Sudan at the national level as well, like a lot of South Sudanese Australians did at the last national at the Olympic Games. It was, wasn't it? Yep.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah.
I think with him, he's got all the skill sets. You know, you say this guy could his game could translate to the NBA. We talk about that a lot with NBL players and European players, etc. But Bull Cole has a specific skill set, 3 and D, right? So I think he has a game that could potentially translate to an NBA contract. But you see this year his usage rate has gone down heavily. He was averaging 12, 13 points a game last year. That's down to 5 or 6. And he's only playing a few less minutes. But he should have known that coming to this Kings team, this deep stacked roster, as you say, he was going to have a lesser role. But I'm sure his paycheck has been bigger than it was at Cairns, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, you say 3 and D. The 3 has probably been the thing this year. I'm like, man, he just doesn't seem to be that knockdown shooter there. And look, he may just need, that games under his belt to come back and play there. One thing I was thinking the other day was you mentioned South Sudanese. As far as I know, New Zealand are the only team that don't have a South Sudanese player on their roster. And if they do have one, I apologise. But every other team's got at least 1 or 2, which is amazing, isn't it, to see these days? So
Last year they had... Who did they have? Mango Mathiang last year, right?
yeah, they did last
Yeah, and they
year.
had Atta
so they
Majok
have
the year
had one,
before,
but
I
not
think,
this year, but
right?
every other team. So that's pretty cool to see. But yeah, no, I mean, I know you're pleased for Sydney to get him. I know your Cairns is your second team, so you got one of their better players there. I think that's been the problem with Cairns, isn't it? The last few years, they haven't been able to hold on to any of their quality players there. So yeah,
They're
decent
attempting
jersey.
less than half the field goals per game in 22 minutes at the Kings this year, and he was at 29 minutes with the Cairns
What was
Taipans
his
last
injury?
year.
Do you recall what it was? Or?
I can't remember. I think it was I can't remember what it was. But yeah, he came back last week, and the Kings had a good weekend, winning both against Southeast Melbourne and Brisbane, coming back, and then Bull Cole was influential in both those games. So yeah, good to have him back.
Sure.
And if we're going to win a championship, he's going to be essential, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Robbie. Card of the week, man. What do you got for us for the first card of the year?
I've got a very different card for us today, Woods. So I'm keeping a bit of an NBA, NBL sort of theme coming into this week. Someone who's really impressed me the last few weeks, and I'm talking about a player playing in Victoria, and I'm talking about Joe Wieskamp. This is a Joe Wieskamp signed San Antonio Spurs card there. So, look, he started off the season not that great, but he's been pretty good. So you can see that card pretty good, right? I know sometimes a bit of a glare. So nice signature there. Pretty cool picture on the back. So Joe Wieskamp. Just a quick little tidbit about him, I guess, there. So, yeah, he's 25-year-old swingman, was drafted at pick 21 by the Spurs in 2021 out of Iowa. Played a total of 38 NBA games. As I mentioned, started pretty slowly in the NBL with the Phoenix, but I've really enjoyed his game, and I think he's really giving the team a lot of late. He's a deadly outside shooter. I actually think, and not just because they've got the same skin colour, I think he's quite similar to Dylan Windler there, Woods. What do you reckon? He's a good perimeter defender, good rebounder for his size, and a good shooter. So I see a bit of a similarity in those two there. So, yeah, nice looking card. I'm not sure if he'll make it back to the NBA, but hey, he's got that on his resume. But yeah, what are your thoughts been on Wieskamp this year?
Yeah, I think the new coach has been good for him. Him moving to the bench hasn't been the worst thing. 12 and 22 points in his last 2 games, man. So he's playing a role, and I saw him live, and he was contributing well against the Kings. In fact, that was a game that Southeast Melbourne led them, which got away from them. They were up with just a short while to go, and Joe Wieskamp was a big part of that contribution. So yeah.
Nice random one. So I know I was showing some of those old sort of retired players. I'm thinking maybe the next few weeks I'm going to show players that have played in both the NBL and NBA. So I've got a bit of a collection of those. Actually had one arrive today. I had a Tarico White, Detroit Pistons autograph card arrive. So that might be one that gets an appearance on the show as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great that... you don't have to show the famous player or whatever. You've got a Joe Wieskamp card.
That's
from
it.
his
And
NBA
a auto card of
days.
that, right? Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And that's respect. All right, let's stay with the NBL. I want to talk about a few things NBL related, okay? So Brian Gorgian's been trumping on about how he wants to get a guard to put alongside Jalen Adams. Now, I'm not sure about that. I thought we might need a big with no real center on the roster. But, there was rumors around Shannon Scott. We had Ryan Archidiakono, right? And they landed on Lamont Turner. Now, Lamont Turner is a bit of a journeyman. He played high school basketball in Alabama, and then he had 4 years at Tennessee, where he actually won SEC Sixth Man of the Year. And he's played all over the world since, in Poland, in the Adriatic League, in Serbia. So, yeah, I mean, what do you know about Lamont Turner?
Don't know a lot about him. I did a bit of research, saw he had some decent sort of time in Tennessee and college there. But yeah, like you said, journeyman, been playing in some random places. When you see someone with Finland on their resume, it's a little bit strange
Finland,
there.
Poland, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, a couple of teams like Serbia there. But
Yeah.
I honestly thought the first thing though, Woods, you knew they were going to get it. And I'm not even going to make my normal Kings jokes. The reason why they got him is an injury replacement for Galloway. So, and that's fine. They did have the import slot open, so they're more than entitled to do that. So I'm actually being kind to the Kings for the first episode of 2025 and the 150th episode there, Woods. One thing I did think, though, is I was surprised about them getting a point guard, like you said there. So I would have felt a big would have been better. And look, my reasons for that are Jalen Adams, we know he likes the ball in his hands a lot, right? So, and I think, this guy is basically 6'2". So I don't think he's someone that you're going to be able to play alongside Jalen Adams there. So
that's what he wants to do, though. Gorge says, I want to play Jalen Adams off the ball a lot more. That's why I want his point guard.
Jeez. Yeah. So imagine you play against the Hawks and they're running, Kel and Davo or something, sort of a combo of those sort of guys there. So, look, I'm interested to see how he goes. I'm assuming he'll be playing in that game this week if he's been signed.
Yeah, I think he will be. And the inability of Isaiah Liafa to really turn up and contribute is maybe a reason behind this. But you look at it, right. You got these two guards. You got Alex Tui, Xavier Cooks, and I don't know, Cam Oliver, let's just say Kelly Lepepe, whoever. You've got a team full of players under 6'7", right?
Yeah, it's a short team, isn't it? Definitely.
That's the thing that concerns me, because when you go deep into the playoffs, you got to go up against bigs on other teams, and you might need that big body, right?
A lot of the bigs might be in teams that don't make the playoffs, right? If you're talking Taco Fall, if you're talking Tyrell Harrison, those sort of guys. We know Tasmania, he's going to be in the finals. They don't really have a particularly big team, and neither does the Wildcats. So maybe that's the reason.
Magne, Pinder, those guys, right?
Well, I mean, is Magne going to be healthy? Yeah, Pinder. I mean, still Pinder's someone that the Kings can match up with
for sure
with Cooks and Cam Oliver. So interesting. What about your boy Cam Oliver, Woods?
So I mean, I think it's been good timing. Kelly Lepepe sort of getting a little bit of a niggle. Galloway obviously out for the season. So, Gorgian was forced to go to Cam Oliver this weekend. And he only played 19, 20 minutes in each game. But he contributed in both games, 13 and 6, something like that.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on the stats. But and he looked engaged. And I think Chris Blondgrass said, no matter what happens, we'll keep staying with Cam till the end of the year. So they've just got to make it work. And if they can get something positive out of him towards the end of the season as we enter the playoffs, that's going to be ideal.
What percentage chance would you give on Cam Oliver coming back for next season?
0. Not to the Sydney Kings anyway. He could stay in the NBL
definitely.
though, right?
Yeah.
Look, I want to read you a couple of quotes from about Lamont Turner. First from Gorge. All right, I want you to tell me what you think. All right, so
are you going to read this in an American accent like Gorge, or do I have to just imagine that?
Just imagine that, man, and imagine me, mispronouncing his name. All right.
Yes.
Okay. First and foremost, Lamont is a point guard, a ball handler, and a facilitator who can get people the ball, which puts them in the best position to succeed. The 6-time NBL championship winning coach said. Now, is that what we want? Do we want Jalen Adams to, not have the ball in his hands, or we want it in his hands, to your point earlier, right?
I'm not a massive fan of Jalen Adams, but I do definitely respect the guy, and he's been really good the last couple of weeks as well. So, I wonder if they envision him playing that, 12 to 15, maybe 18 minutes on a good night sort of role there, taking a lot of those minutes from Isaiah Maori, Huhu, Liafa, and maybe your boy Sean Bruce. So maybe you'll see some of those guys go a little bit down, and he'll play, those minutes depending on how he's going. But I don't think you want to take the ball out of Adams' hands there.
No. And he's been terrific, right? Getting to the free throw line, 17 from 18 against Southeast Melbourne, having the ball in his hands, attacking the rim. It's been a winning formula for us. So let's see how this plays out. It also comes down to communication. Maybe Lamont can play off the ball a little bit when Jalen has the ball in his hands. So really interesting to see. I'll be going to the game on Thursday night, so looking forward to that.
Nice.
All right, one final quote from Lamont Turner himself. Having spoken to Gorge and the other coaches a lot, we all feel I can bring a settling presence on the court at the ball handling position, allowing other creators to play off the ball and make opposition defenses deal with another look. I feel I have the style of play that can blend nicely to the Kings group and help us finish the season strongly. So what that tells me about his attitude is he's willing to come and step in and do what the team needs for him to be successful. So that bodes well, correct?
I think you have to know as well, if you're coming in at this stage of the season as well, you're not going to come in and get the keys and then run the team. You've got to come in and play that role and see how you fit in there. So no, it seems like he's saying the right things.
Awesome. Yeah, really excited to see how that plays out this weekend. Look, I want to go to Queensland and talk to you a little bit about the Cairns Taipans. They snapped their losing streak the other day. A big win against Melbourne. Was Melbourne United?
Illawarra.
Was it? Was it Illawarra? That's right. Sorry, my bad. Now, what do you see there? Like, sure, they won, but is there issues there within the camp? I mean, that Cairns Taipans roster, do they need to completely knock down the building and rebuild next year? I know you said that was probably the game of the season, so let's hear about that first.
Let's start with that. Yeah, I watched that. Mrs. had a party. We had a few people around. Actually watched it with, a friend of ours, Eric, and Emily watched it with us as well. And best game I've seen all season. My mum was messaging me through the game. You're watching this? How good is this? Some real brain farts by the Hawks in that game. And Dave O'Hickey, who I'm a huge fan of, had a couple of crucial errors in that game. But Taron Armstrong, if he's not already high on draft boards, he would have moved up higher on that. He was amazing in that game. Controversial last call. You don't see a lot of those calls when someone's taking basically a full court shot. I don't know if it was a foul or not. The Hawks actually used their challenge about 20 seconds earlier, so I wonder if had they not had that, there's still time on the clock. They could have made a challenge, and who knows, it might have been overturned there. But yeah, great game. For those that haven't seen it, get on, try and watch a replay of it or something. One of the better games I've seen. And an absolute gutsy win for Cairns. They came on a 14-game losing streak, going to the Gong. And, basically coming away with that win there. And they didn't even really celebrate after the game, Woods. They just looked relieved. It was funny. You normally see a team jumping around sort of thing. They just looked like it was a massive, weight off their shoulders. I don't know if it changes a lot for their outlook for the rest of the year. I don't know. I feel like they've had a real good ability to bring in some really high-quality imports the last few years. I think the imports they've got this year are okay. They're not sort of anything more than okay. Tanner Groves is solid. I'll sort of give it to you.
Tanner Groves is solid.
Yeah,
Rob Edwards probably needs Gorge.
Yeah, maybe. But look, they've got some good local talent. I'm talking about Kiwi, Sam Wardenberg. I mentioned Taron Armstrong. They've got some young, up-and-coming guys there. Galloway's a little bit hit and miss for them. But, yeah, I think they probably do need to start afresh next year. Adam Ford's been there a long time now. He's had some success, there's no doubt about it. I think probably I made my feelings clear on him, maybe in a recent episode where I said, I feel like he gets a lot of credit when they win, and when they lose, it's suddenly the players or the recruiting that he seems to have that bit of a free reign there. So maybe it's a case of a team needing a new voice.
Yeah,
we see that in all sports, right? He'd probably be the longest tenured coach at the moment, wouldn't he? Have to be. Vickerman's been there a while, but yeah, it'd be one of those guys. But yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised if they do make a change next season. And it's a tough one, isn't it? It's a very regional sort of area where they play, and they want to get that local support and that, but they're just not putting good quality basketball out there this season. But prior to that game.
And big win though against Illawarra. As I said, Melbourne United, because last year Melbourne United was that bogey team. Remember, Cairns was the bogey team.
We're talking a 14-game losing streak. That's half a season. That's unbelievable.
And beating the best team in the competition, right? Yeah. But I think Illawarra themselves had a similar losing streak a few years ago, right? Didn't
true.
they? Yeah. So okay. Well, what about Melbourne United? I want to ask you about them anyway. They've lost 4 of their last 5.
Yeah.
Is this a worrying sign for them? They don't have a lot of home games with the tennis coming up.
Yeah. Feels like it's a little bit of mid-season blues for them. The one thing that stood out to me is maybe their defense hasn't been as good as normal. We know they've got a great defensive backcourt. They've got some bigs that can really defend. I don't know. Just something seems to be lacking a little bit with them. I know the schedule's been a bit heavy lately on the road, like you said, with the tennis being on and they've been away from home. But every team has to go through periods like that. So I've still got a lot of faith that they will ride everything there. They seem like they're healthy at the moment. So I wouldn't be too concerned. Obviously, it's a surprise anytime Melbourne lose more than 2 in a row, because they just traditionally don't do that with this sort of current team they've got, but I think they'll be okay. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just not 100% convinced they're a championship team. They're the best odds to win, but I still think Illawarra, but even them, Sydney's coming here and there. So there's 3 or 4 teams. Your Perth Wildcats are in the mix, so it's quite open this season.
Could they bring in an import? I know they're only playing with the one import there. I guess they've got a lot of quality Aussie players that would be taking up a
Marquee.
bit of salary there. Yeah.
I think you would look at Delhi as a marquee player
Jack White as
potentially.
well, right?
Jack
Like,
White. So
yeah.
they'd have to do some. As you said, they might need the King's accountant if they
Yeah,
want
they
to
can
get
get
another
his number
important.
and see if you can help him out. Yeah. See, hey, even you're bringing those jokes up. I love that. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, look, there's been a game every day for like the last, pretty much every day for the last 20 days, right? Like there's been small breaks here and there, so nobody even knows what round it is, what's happening. So
Hey,
I thought,
fantasy's been hard. It's like, when does this round end and start and everything like that?
totally,
Yeah.
and I was traveling watching the cricket, so like I forgot to set my team one week because I didn't realize it was a new round. So instead of doing a preview of the rounds, we'll kick that off next week, right? And move into it. Any other topics or
Well, just a quick one, Woods. You mentioned cricket before. So I know Bryce Cotton scored 41 on the weekend for the Wildcats in New Zealand. So that was pretty much higher than any Indian batsman scored in that test match, was it? Or?
Yeah, I think one of our batsmen got a 50, but yeah, yeah.
And it was day 5 in the cricket today. Did it go well, or did it finish a couple of days ago?
Game over, man.
No,
well
no,
done to
nice.
the Aussies. Well done to the
Nice.
Aussies. Now, so I'm talking about the King's account, and you're talking about cricket, right?
That's it,
Is that
that's
that
it.
what we've come to? The
That was the turn,
150th
right?
episode. We're
That's
gonna,
it.
All right, man. I'll tell you what. This season, I mean, every year I tell you I'm way more into the NBL than the NBA, right? Because you can just watch all the games, right? But I don't know what it is about the NBA this year. It's taken precedence to the NBL a little bit. I think it's the storylines, the young
Well, you
players
had your
coming
last
through.
day off before you go back to work, Woods. How many sort of bits of games did you watch today? Nearly as
All
many
of
as you
them.
could, right?
All
Pretty
of
much
them.
all of them.
It's as much as I could fit in, you had the 4 screens open.
So
and-
Tuesday, the 7th of January, I think the Sacramento-Miami double overtime game just finished, and we started recording. Then I know you were keen on that game. So no, good effort. You got to do that when you can.
Absolutely. So I've loved it this year. I know you said viewership is down, but the product of this year I think has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with Sacramento. You did mention them, right? Look, Mike Brown was recently fired. Less than halfway through his third season with the team. They were going through a 5-game losing streak. General manager Monty McNair called the move Friday a difficult decision and thanked Brown for his work. Doug Christie takes over as head coach, and after showing such promise over the last few years, this franchise finds itself in a bit of a precarious situation. But I think this win today is 5 games. New coach theory for you. 5 games in a row they've won, right?
Yeah, but they lost their first 2, so it wasn't quite the new coach theory. I don't know if
that's-
it's 5 games in a row, is it? Is it that many? But
Yeah.
yeah. Look, it was one of those things that was a surprise, but then it wasn't. At the end of the day, you've got to realise it is the Sacramento Kings. They're kind of the NBA's version of the Adelaide 36ers. They seem to change coaches extremely often there. A little bit harsh for Mike Brown, I reckon. I reckon he was probably one of the better coaches that the Kings have had there. We know they had a lot of success with Rick Adelman back in the days there, but certainly in these last 15 or 20 years, he was really good for them. I think he worked well. There was a few rumblings that maybe he wasn't getting on with De'Aaron Fox. I'm not quite sure about that. Fox has been pretty quick to dismiss those rumours there. So, it probably wasn't a big shock. We even saw a couple of other coaches come out and say, oh, that's typical of Sacramento. I believe he got a text message on the way to the airport or something, which is just not how you handle stuff, right? That's wrong, right? I think anyone in any employment at least deserves a phone call, a sit down, something else like that. You don't fire someone over a text or something. So yeah, as I said, surprising but not surprising given the team.
So I think Doug Christie has won 4 out of the 5 games. They're on a 5-game winning streak as of today, right?
Fair
And
enough.
so 4 of them have been with Doug Christie. But just watching him on the sidelines today, this guy's been with the Sacramento franchise for a long time.
Yeah.
The area means a lot to him. What's he going to bring to the table?
Well, I think he'll get this team playing where people were expecting him to play. And if you look at those standings as well, as much as they haven't been great, they're not far off the play. And they're literally a game or 2 away from maybe 8th place where they are at the moment. So I love the dynamic duo in Swiper, De'Aaron Fox, and my boy Domas Sabonis. I think you've got those 2, they're perennial all-stars there. But it's the play of some of these other guys that I think Christie can continue to, bring the best out of him. Guys like Keon Ellis, who, we both enjoy
Love
the way
that
he
guy.
plays.
Keegan Murray.
Keegan Murray, who's been a little bit down this year, I think he can get him to sort of get on the same page. And then they've just got a lot of other sort of talent there, don't they? Malik Monk, Trey Lyles. Got a lot of talent on that team. So I think maybe he's someone that might click a little bit better with them. He's probably a little bit closer in age with some of these guys than what, someone like Mike Brown was. So yeah, I think maybe it's that, fresh sort of theory that he's getting the new voice and they're responding to it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do make a run and they do, probably make the playoffs.
Likewise. And Robbie, I can't believe I'm telling you this, but DeMar DeRozan's earning something like 70 to 75 million over the next 3 years, which is good like money. 20, 25 million, which is actually a good contract in the NBA now. I can't believe I'm actually saying that to you because 10 years ago that would have been, that would have been the bag, right? So that's a very tradable contract. And we've had this chat before. Do they wait it out and see how DeMar DeRozan performs under the tutelage of Doug Christie, and before they think about potentially parting ways with that contract?
I think they'll continue with him. First season there. I think there's, we saw in that game today, he was pretty big in the clutch there. Yeah. He does have some limitations. He's certainly got that old school game that we've spoken about before, but no, I don't expect him to sort of make any moves there. I think if they were to make a move, it might have been De'Aaron Fox. That seemed to be a bit of talk a week or so ago, but that seems to have died down a bit now. I don't know why you would want to give up on him. I think he's, a top 5 point guard in the NBA, I would have thought. Good at both ends, seems to have improved each year. So, look, you don't give players like that away for nothing. So, no, I think they'll be okay. They're a pretty fun team to watch as well.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Let's see how that plays out. And as I said, Doug Christie, someone who's got a affinity with the franchise. It means a lot to him, the area. Is his wife going to be following him into the games?
Right. Keep an eye for that, right? Yeah.
All right. I know you want to talk about this, man. So let's go out to Miami, Florida, all right? I'm going to read something to you. Jimmy Butler has been suspended by the Heat for 7 games, okay? For multiple instances of conduct detrimental to the team and the organization, all right? Heat President Pat Riley issued a statement that Miami wouldn't trade Butler in an effort to reduce Miami would trade Butler in an effort to reduce the off-court distractions the trade rumors surrounding the 35-year-old small forward have caused. Predictably, Butler didn't back down from his desire to be traded. He capped off a press conference after Thursday's game by expressing that he'd like to regain his joy for basketball and probably doesn't see that happening with the Miami Heat. Then his camp leaked to ESPN insider Shams Charania that he's indicated to Miami's front office that he'd like to be traded to any other team in the NBA. Riley and the Heat have responded by suspending Butler for 7 games. Where it goes from here is anybody's guess, but it's possible it's almost definitely he's played his last game in the red and black, Robbie. Talk to me.
Firstly, it would be cool if they traded him to Washington. That'd be pretty fun. You mentioned any team. We'd love to see how he goes there. Not a shock at all. Not a big fan of this guy, Woods. I don't think he's a good teammate at all. He's worn out his welcome in every stop that he's had. So Chicago was his first stop there. He basically started turning on the younger players. Maybe he thought that was a one-off. He then went to Minnesota. He then caused that massive hurrah where he had that press conference with Rachel Nichols, that those will remember. He basically flew her in and then just basically shuttled over Minnesota, had all that stuff at practice that went on there. He then ended up going to Philadelphia. That looked like it went okay. He then turned on the coach, our own, Brett Brown there, honorary Aussie Brett Brown. So then he's gone to Miami. There's a few little incidents, last year. I know there was that thing where he had a bit of a scuffle almost in the huddle, and Udonis Haslem had to sort of get him to calm down and that. But this is what this guy does, right? And I think he could accept it more when he was younger and he was on a more friendly contract and he was helping put wins on the board. But this guy's close to turning 36. He's been on big money. His game isn't really aging well, I don't think. And look, he showed his true colours in that last game before the suspension. He was honestly giving up on defensive assignments there. He was just that, F you, trade me type thing like that. And I don't have time for anyone that does that. So not a fan. I think I might have used the word clown, bad teammate, all those sort of things like that. Doesn't surprise me. And I honestly wish a team luck that gets him because it'll start off well. It always does start off well. You'll go there and you think, oh, this is Jimmy Butler, and then his true colours will shine again. So, yeah, probably been pretty open and honest there about my thoughts. What are you thinking?
I completely echo everything you've said. And who I feel for is, they've had a really good playoff run over the last 5-6 years with Jimmy Butler there. They've gone to the NBA Finals. They've been Eastern Conference champions, the Eastern Conference Finals. They've done well, right? And guys like Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, by all reports, built really great bonds with Jimmy Butler over this last half a decade, right? For him to leave them out dry and act like this to your brothers who you've gone to battle with for the last 5-6 years says a lot about him, right?
And tell you what, was he probably picking the wrong team and front office to do it with. Probably the only person as stubborn as my wife would be Pat Riley,
For
right?
sure.
So you're doing that with Pat Riley. My goodness, he's always going to win. He's got a massive ego, Pat Riley. He's not going to take that, and it's not a surprise. The 7-game suspension was a little bit of a surprise. I think they're trying to fight that with the players' union there, but yeah.
I mean, like, to be fair, if Dwayne Wade wouldn't get away with Pat Riley, there's no way Jimmy Butler is, right?
100%, yeah.
7 games, it's just like get away from the teammate, we don't need this distraction. And they played like a unit today. They seemed like a lot happier on the floor today. And even though they lost in that double overtime game to Sacramento, they played with some passion today. So
yeah. I hope the Hawks don't get him. Imagine that. I'd just be...
There's talk about him going back to Minnesota, right?
Yeah, if you had to predict a team where he go, I feel like it might be one of the Texas teams there. I don't know what about Dallas. We saw the news today that Kyrie's going to be out in a few weeks. Luka's out almost indefinitely. They're going to be in a free fall without those two guys. Could that be a panic trade for someone like Dallas and they give up something? I don't know. Like Houston have got the tools to do it, right? But I don't know whether they it doesn't really fit their timeline, right? They like that younger sort of talent they've got there. So I don't know.
And like an aging veteran who's going to be helpful in the locker room would be great to sign at this point. But he's, as you said, this repeat
this is that
incidents.
difference with someone like DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
You think of him, he's at a similar stage of his career to Butler. He's everything you hear about him. He's a good teammate, a hard worker. He hasn't worn out welcomes in the places he's played. Teams will want him, but I'm not sure about Butler. How many teams will want him now?
Agreed. Totally agreed. All right, I want to talk to you about the Lakers trade. I know we talked about, the Lakers are always in trade rumors. They actually did pull the trigger, right? So let me tell you a little bit about this trade. The Los Angeles Lakers have agreed to trade D'Angelo Russell and Maxwell Lewis to the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Shake Milton. The team announced a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of Sundays ago, the Lakers will also send 3 future second-round picks to the Nets in the trade. So now D. Ross had 2 stints of the Lakers and 2 stints of the Nets.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, you asked me about Jimmy Butler. Now you're asking me about D'Angelo Russell. I mean, who's next? Are we talking? Am I going to talk about Danny Manning, John Koncak, and Chris Paul? Is that around
I'm more interested in DFS coming to the Lakers, right? Because he's the type of player that could actually help the Lakers, right?
Lakers fans will say he's an all-star. Now, you know what it's like. You get in that Lakers jersey and suddenly, you're the second coming sort of thing. But yeah, look, it's obvious that D'Lo didn't fit into their plans there, and so strange that he's had these second stints with these 2 teams now. But I don't mind Finney-Smith. I actually don't mind Shake Milton as well. I think he's a serviceable backup point guard. He's not going to set the world on fire there, but yeah, it's clearly like the Finney-Smith for Russell trade there sort of thing. And yeah, I think he's probably a bit more suited to that team. We know he's a good defender there, so yeah, and probably a lot friendlier contract as well, right?
Yeah, and a friendlier contract, definitely. It doesn't really change much for the Lakers. Maybe they'll be a little bit more competitive. They've got another body that can guard multiple positions, right?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I still feel like the Lakers are what they are. They're going to be a team that, finishes between, maybe 6 and 10 in the West there. I mean, LeBron's been amazing this year. AD's been relatively healthy. Austin Reeves has been great, but it's just that big gap after that. I cringe every time I see Cam Reddish on the court. Jeez, I can't stand that bloke either. But yeah, I just think there's a big drop-off between that, the top sort of 3 guys on that team.
Yep, I'd agree with you. All right, let's do some true or false, Robbie, and then jump into some classic packs. Thanks for your comments today as well. Appreciate it. All right, let's stay with the NBA, okay? We talked about Minnesota just then, right? So Anthony Edwards makes his teammates around him better. True or false?
Firstly, before I answer that, it's interesting. I was sort of complaining a little bit about him the last few weeks. I think he's been down this year. And the reason I've noticed that because I've got him in a couple of fantasy teams. And I see, he'll get like 24 points and he'll have 2 rebounds and 3 assists or something. So that's kind of my preamble there. I'm going to say false. He did have a big scoring game on the weekend in a loss to Detroit, and he was really good in a win today against the Clippers. But I just don't think he gets his teammates involved enough. Have been a little bit disappointed. I thought he was going to really take a next level step up there. So I'm going to say false for that one.
Yep, I'm going to agree with you. He's got some learning to do. He's got all the tools to be a Hall of Famer. But if he wants to take that step to the next level, he's got to learn to create for some of his teammates, not always look for his own, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to see his game evolve. And someone like DeMar DeRozan, we talked about him. When he went to San Antonio to play under Pop, we saw his game evolve from just a scorer to a guy who could create for himself and others, and that's the kind of blueprint he could follow, right?
Do you know what I mean, though, Woods? I feel like almost people were saying, he could be an All-NBA first-team guy sort of coming into the season, maybe a second guy. I think he's quite a drop off that, to be honest, and Minnesota have been a little bit down from last year, but there's no doubt these last couple of games he's shown something, so maybe it was a slow start to the year, and we'll see the best of him now.
Losing Carl Anthony Towns didn't help, and Mike Conley's fallen off a cliff this year. All right, so he feels like he needs to bring more potentially, and that's why. So
Yeah.
let's see how I'll be interested to see how this season plays out for the Timberwolves. Right.
Yep.
All right, Victor Wembanyama could become a top 10 player of all time.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Look, top 10 is a very big call. So I'm going to say false. But look, I really hope he is, Woods. I love everything he's giving already. Don't know that I love that, 45% of his shots are coming from the three-point line. I love my threes, but this guy's an absolute, giant there. So maybe he needs to get a little bit closer to the rim. I think he's going to become an amazing player, and I hope he does, but I'll say false to being top 10.
I'm going to say true. Provided he doesn't get injured.
Yeah. And he's been pretty durable so far, hasn't he?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the NBL. And I spoke to you this year about how I've had a bit more affinity towards the NBA than the NBL for the first time in many years. So the question I'm going to ask you is this. Has the quality of play in the NBL this season been inferior to the last few seasons?
I've got false in capital letters on this one, Woods. So, no, I don't think so at all. I've really enjoyed it. With some of our mates, I've sort of mentioned maybe similar comments to that. I've really enjoyed it. I've watched probably 95% of all the games this year. And honestly, quite often when I watch it, I feel like I'm enjoying it a little bit more than the NBA. The quicker games, less timeouts, less reviews, other stuff like that. So no, I'm going to say false. I'm definitely enjoying the product.
Well, I'm going to say true. It is inferior. I'm not saying I'm not enjoying the product. At the top end of town, in that top half, right, you see some really good games. But down the bottom with New Zealand, Cairns, and some games, you see simple cuts being missed. Games in the 60s, there's been a couple. So maybe at the bottom of the ladder, you see some weaker games. But yes, at the top, the quality is still there, and the product is still very enjoyable. So don't get me wrong when I say that, right? All right, finally, SGA is currently the front runner for the Most Valuable Player award.
I'm going to complete my my run of falses here, Woods. It's unfortunate. I don't think I've ever done that. So, but in saying that, I've got him second for sure. So, look, it's a false, but not by much. I still have the Joker at number one. But I was thinking a little bit about this today. I don't think there's a lot of distance between the two. And OKC have already got 10 more wins than Denver. We're not even halfway through the year yet. So, say that doubles to 20 wins, right? And these guys are pretty similar. Well, I think SGA possibly has to get it right. If you're, leading a team and they had some, good quality wins against some good opposition, didn't they? Knicks and Celtics they beat as well. But I think it's pretty close, and it will continue to get closer, and he might even overtake it. So I'm going to say false right now. But yeah, ask me that in a month, that might be true. I know you're definitely saying true for this one.
Definitely saying true. Also because of a bit of recency bias, he's got it so many times, voter fatigue, things like that. They might give it to SGA. But what you're actually telling me here is we're going to have another year of a non-American winning the MVP award.
Yeah, exactly. One of those two is going to win it, and they're not American. Absolutely. And probably if I had to say a number 3 right now, it'd probably be Giannis. So yeah, and maybe number 4, Vít Krejci. What do you reckon?
Oh, love Vít, man. Love Vít, right? Yeah. All right. Well, I thought I'd run out of packs, brother, but I've actually found 3 upper deck packs in the bottom of my drawer there. So these are the great packs we've had. Let's do it. I heard you're going to test me as well, though, one of these weeks, right?
Yeah, I'll get a pack and test you and see how we go with that. Definitely.
Okay.
We know we love these upper deck ones as well.
Love these.
Any chance of a hologram? I keep asking for a hologram insert in these packs, but we haven't.
We straight away got an all-star card. His son currently is a point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's one of your most disliked players of all time.
Oh, he's good old Scottie Pippen. Yeah. Funny thing is, that's a nice card. Oh, I like Scottie Pippen. Did you end up getting his all-star? His jersey, I mean.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got it. Yeah.
Nice. That could be a good one to wear. I do like his son's game. Got him in a couple of fantasy teams, so I like him. But yeah, not a fan of his dad.
He's such a humble kid, his son.
He's good,
soft-spoken.
Yeah. Apparently there's another one coming through as well. I think it's maybe, is he in high school or college right now? But apparently he's looking the goods as well. So
nothing like his mother or father.
No.
Okay. Nuggets guard who number 12, he went to Missouri. He played for the Warriors and the Clippers before in the 80s and 90s. His surname, I don't know if he's any relation to Cleveland Cavaliers guard. I think he might be, actually, right?
Winston Garland?
Winston Garland. Is he?
It's a good question. What do I feel like they could be related?
They are, I'm pretty sure. Google it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll have a look.
All right. NBA All-Star Skills Challenge card. The hometown favorite of the 92 NBA Slam Dunk NBA Championship was who?
92 Slam. And where was it being played?
Orlando.
Um,
Went up against Larry Johnson, Cedric Sabalas in the final.
Stacey Augman.
No.
Yeah, and he is the son of Winston Garland. So that's pretty cool. I forgot.
He is, right?
Yeah.
Orlando Magic guard. Yeah.
Oh, Darryl Armstrong.
No. Swingman, guard forward, I would say. He was in the dunk contest.
Nick Anderson?
Nick Anderson, yep.
Did he have to shoot free throws at the end of that
Hopefully
contest?
not. Hopefully not. Never the same player again. Okay, when we talk about great European players who paved the way to come to this country, we talk about a skillful left-hander from Lithuania.
Have I commentated his son, possibly?
We've commentated his son.
Yes, good old Sarunas Marciulionis. He was great, wasn't he? Look at those long arms he had there. He was really good. Definitely a player that gets slept on, I think. He was certainly impressive. And he would really suit the modern day. I wonder if his son, so Augustus Marciulionis is his son, playing for St. Mary's over there. So I wonder if he'll eventually make it to the...
Because it was actually Marciulionis, Sabonis, Vladi Divac, those guys. Who were the left Schrempf, you know? They were the initial guys to come from Europe. Okay. Legend. Okay, so this guy is the brother of our most respected basketball player of all time.
Are we talking a bit of Gerald Wilkins?
Yes, and his son Damien Wilkins is? What is he doing now?
So he's the head of the G League, the Overtime Elite.
Overtime Elite, yeah.
I'm still going to get those episodes. I won't even know how to find 3.
Awesome, man. Really good.
Have you heard about Dominique's son as well? So apparently he's 6'11". He's committed to Georgia University next year, so he's still in high school now. Already 6'11". Apparently he's got all the tools there. So Dominique's like, keep an eye out. This guy is going to be, his son's going to be amazing. So can't wait to see another Wilkins in the league. And he's got to be number 21, right?
Damien Wilkins' son is also in G League in the Ignite, right?
Dominique's,
just Gerald. Damien Wilkins' son would be Dominique's grand nephew, right?
No, I've lost that.
Because Damien Wilkins is the nephew.
Yeah, okay.
Right, and he's got a son who's in.
Gotcha.
The Ignite, right?
Jeez, we're getting old, aren't we? When it's like that.
Man. So just to think that he's got Dominique Wilkins has got a son the same age as Damien Wilkins' son, right?
Yeah.
Todd. Okay. One of my favorite centers of all time, number 33 from Jamaica. He would sweat in the snow.
Good old Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
Hey, just quickly as well, if you stay home watching the game every week, you might find out.
Your wife's getting dunked by Dominique, and that can be so upsetting. So try a little tenderness like Otis Redding. Right?
See, we thought we'd get some singing and some rapping on this 150th episode. So shout out to Big Daddy Kane.
Hell yeah, BDK in the house, brother. Okay, guard, number 24 from the Milwaukee Bucks. Had a lethal backcourt with Alvin Robertson, Jay Humphries.
Hey, you know I'm going to get any number 24 because it's my favorite number. So,
sure, bro. Yeah. Nice. All right. Your brother would love this guy. Clippers legend, forward center. This guy could do a little bit of everything on the court.
Good old Loy Vaught.
Loy Vaught, loved him.
He was really good.
Sheet stuffer, right? You could really
could have got a better action shot of him than that. Just waiting to check into the game, but yeah.
Oh, love this guy, man. Me and my brother always talked about this guy. 0-0 from the Pistons. Went to college at Memphis. Was touted as going to be one of the greatest big men ever, but drugs and stuff got in the way, and William Bedford.
Yeah, wow.
William Bedford.
Yeah, geez, he was someone that could have been. What was his size? He was a big boy, wasn't he?
7'1", 250.
Yeah, he was huge.
And he was like the next big thing coming out of Memphis, right? So oh mate, how can I possibly throw this one out?
Look at that beauty.
Yeah.
Love that. Were you going to test me some players on
the
team?
Give me the Atlanta Hawks checklist for that, yeah.
All right, so Dominique, Kevin Willis, Ramil Robinson.
Yep.
Travis Mays.
No.
John Koncak.
Yep.
Blair Rasmussen.
No.
Stacey Augman.
No.
Oh, he was a rookie, wasn't he, that year? Yeah, he was a rookie. So the year before Stacey Augman.
Come on, our favorite Hawk of all time. One of our favorite Hawks of all time. Big man.
Mookie Blaylock.
No, big man.
Kevin Willis. That's what I said.
Yep. Who led the team in assists that year?
So this is prior to Mookie Blaylock, wasn't it?
Yep.
That would have been
Dunk contest winner.
Spud Webb.
Spud Webb. Yep.
Yeah,
Then you've obviously got Ramil Robinson, Doc Rivers, Sidney Moncrief, Tim McCormick, Moses Malone, John Concack, Dwayne Farrell, John Battle. Yeah.
Love some John Battle. Gee, Tim McCormack I wouldn't have got. That would have been the one that if I thought about long enough, I never would have got that.
For years, we would have said this guy is undoubtedly the greatest player to ever play the game. Now, that has been brought into question.
Did you get to pull a Jordan card?
Sure did.
Ooh, that's a nice card, isn't it? Is that up against... Is that Magic? He's up against? No. Nice card, though, isn't it?
It is Magic.
It is it?
Yep.
Show us the back of that. That's a nice one. Put that in like a plastic sleeve.
Yeah, well, straight away.
Nice.
Okay, this guy was a big bruising, big guard for the Celtics. I'm not talking about Sherman Douglas. I'm not talking about Marvin. I'm talking about
Bagley.
John Bagley.
I think Stewie pulled up before as well. He's a career-leading assist player for the Cleveland Cavs, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Is he?
I think he could be. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a pretty good pack. Got a Jordan in there. Got a Dominique.
Always good to get a Jordan, and that Dominique was nice as well. So, I love those upper deck cards for sure.
Awesome, man. Really fun episode just to chop it up with you. Just lighthearted. Looking forward to another year of Throwback Hoops in 2025 with you, Robbie.
Absolutely.
Why don't you take the audience away with where we can be found and all that information you normally share?
Definitely. So just like echo what you said, just really appreciate everyone for supporting us across these 150 episodes. We've obviously put a lot of time and work into it, but it's very rewarding. It's been great for us, both personally over these last few years, and just wanted to really thank everyone for the continued support and keep it coming because we're not slowing down. I've mentioned it a few times now. We've got a lot of contacts now, a lot of guests that people are even asking to come on the show now. So we're definitely going to get some good guests coming up. So just a reminder, as always, we can be followed on X at Throwbacks Hoops, on Instagram, throwback.hoops. The email address as well would. So throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Not everyone has the Twitter or, X or Instagram, those sort of things. Use the old-fashioned email address. Send us an email, put a request in there. So ask for a random jersey and see if we've got it. We'll see what we can do there. So, and Patreon as well. We mentioned it, Woods, there. It does cost us a bit to, the ongoing cost to do this each week there. So if you want to pledge any support, we'd greatly appreciate that as well. Just go onto the Patreon website and type in Throwback Hoops.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. And it would be remiss of us not to stop recording now at 48 minutes, right, Robbie? Because that's kind of
always that target.
That's that target that, for those who don't know, we try to make every episode 48 minutes, and we're at 47 minutes and 32 seconds. So one final thought, as Robbie said, this show doesn't exist without all your support, and it's because of you, our audience, that this show exists. So thank you very much. And hopefully another 150 episodes to come.
Absolutely.
All right, from Robbie and I and the team at Throwback Hoops, until next week, peace out.
Peace.